How do you even begin to capture a moment as special as an engagement? In today's video, I am going to attempt to show you. Hi, I'm Katie Taylor at scrapandkatie.com, where I show you how to preserve your family's memories through the art of scrapbooking. Today's video is a part of Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches. So for day 11 of Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches, I am back in my craft room. And I'm not at a retreat, so I can actually kind of do what I usually do on these sketches. Here is the sketch. Now the sketch is by Brandy Jo, and just right off the bat, usually with sketches I like to explain what I like, what I plan on keeping, and then I revisit it at the end of the video to see how I did or any major changes I made. So one thing that I love about it is I love the torn edges. Being a close to my heart maker, we tear our cardstock a lot because it has that white core to it, which just kind of adds some dimension. Sometimes I don't use the white core side, but I still love the torn edges. And then of course I love this kind of distressed look in the background. I can either do that with mixed media, or I have several stamps that can do that, which is a little bit more controlled and cleaner. And then of course the two photos in the middle with the floral groupings and then the title. Not sure that I'll actually keep that portion diagonal. May straighten that up a bit. And I am planning on documenting two of the photos from my son's engagement, which was over a year ago. But I'm kind of glad because I'm going to be using Melon Mania from Close to My Heart. It's a special going on right now. It will be linked down below. But I'm kind of glad that I waited because you can't really tell in this photo, but what she is wearing kind of gives that melon feel. And so there is a benefit to not immediately scrapping your photos, folks. And that is when that perfect paper collection comes along, you can finally scrapbook them. So here's just a quick look at Melon Mania. I did a walkthrough video. I'll link it down below as well. But you can see the foil finish to it, as well as some of these have the UV coating, and then the stickers do as well. So I'm going to clean this up and then pre-cut my pieces, and this layout's going to come together rather quickly, I think. I am going to start with a 12 by 12 sheet of White Daisy cardstock, and I have it on my glass mat, and I think I'm going to keep everything straight instead of the diagonals, even though I love that. Just got to thinking, I think I'm just going to keep it straight because my title, I want kind of an oversized title, and I think it would work better like that. I'm also going to, instead of just centering this is the polka dot paper from the Melon Mania. I'm going to kind of have it lower toward the bottom. So I'm just using my glass board to line up that bottom edge at 2.5. Now keep in mind that I will have some tearing here, so it'll cover those harsh edges. And then the cardstock that I chose is this UV coated. Since there's going to be such a big portion of it, I think it needs to have some sort of something to it, but I really wasn't feeling the silver. And then I'm also going to come in with the Melon glitter paper and tear that as well to just kind of peek out from behind. Tiny, tiny spots. Before I do that, I wanted to bring my photo in. I've gone ahead and matted it on some white, and then I'm going to use the Melon, the light side, as a bigger mat. And I want to do some mixed media, like I said, some controlled and some not. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball where I want that, and then I am pulling out the coral stickles, and I'm actually going to kind of use a, well, defeated the purpose there. I'm going to use a palette knife to kind of spread these and see how that looks. So again, I'm just eyeballing it because it's not going to be perfect, and this is going to kind of go to the sides and kind of under. So I'm going to pull out a pencil and just kind of pencil mark that. I can erase that later, or it'll be hidden. And like I said, I'm just gonna put the stickles down here and then hurry up and take a palette knife and just kind of spread them. Kind of maybe up at the top too. This is also going to kind of be some grounding for the floral pieces. I don't want it too textured, but I don't want it to look like I took a palette knife, if you know what I mean. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. Just kind of spread it around. And you can see it's kind of giving that look of those stamps that I use, those background stamps that I use often. It doesn't take long for that to dry, so while that is drying, I am going to start tearing this. Now, this top portion is 3.5 inches and the bottom is 2.5. Got these pieces slightly larger. And I want to use the larger piece, and so by tearing toward me, I'm not going to have the white edge, which I don't think really would go with these photos. These photos are kind of elegant, if you will. And then I'm going to do the same with the smaller piece. And I don't really have to pay attention to direction or anything like that. If you were using like a word B&T pattern paper, then you might want to pay closer attention to which is the larger piece that you're tearing. And then I can always save these pieces. Now for the glitter paper, I just cut this big piece because glitter paper is a little bit thicker, and so it's easier to tear if you have a bigger piece. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to, remember, only a little bit is going to be showing. So I'm going to tear from this side, and then I'm going to tear from this side, and then I can just cut it down the middle. And let's see if our piece is dry. So yes, it is dry. So I'm going to bring this back out, and then we can start attaching the top and the bottom pieces. So glitter paper is a little bit difficult to attach to with tape adhesive, so I'm actually going to be using some liquid adhesive to do that. And I think I'm going to attach the glitter piece to the back first and then attach the piece down. You can also use glue dots or something like that, or if you have a really strong tape adhesive, or you might want to even like take a bone folder and kind of burnish that tape adhesive down, you could do that. The beauty of also having just a little bit of that glitter cardstock, that glitter paper, is that if this were to come apart, then I have this top part adhered to my base page, and then I have the glitter piece adhered as well. So I'm going to repeat that process on the bottom. Now is a great time to remind you to hit that like button if you are liking this video so far. You can share with your friends and leave a comment and let me know what your favorite part is, as well as leave super thanks if you are super inspired by this project. You can also subscribe and sign up for notifications if you haven't already done so you'll be alerted the next time I post a crafty video. I'm going to get a little bit messy on this photo mat. I have the copper stickles, and you guys know I like to ink distress things. Well, I don't really have any glitter ink, of course. I could do a embossing. But anyways, I thought it would be fun to add some stickles to the edge of this, and then just use my finger not really what I was wanting to do. I was wanting to more like just the edge. Yeah, let's see if I can do that. But I do kind of like just that little golden. The good thing about stickles is the glue part dries clear, And then you're just left with the glitter. Oh, I have a bunch right there. The bad part about this was pure trial and error for you guys, is that I have such a shaky hand that getting it straight was never going to be an option. And so I love that that copper kind of looks like the melon glitter paper. So for my title, I wanted to bring in another color. Melon is new, and so it's not included in our For Love of Color book. But we do have this starter kit where we used melon, and so I pulled it out to kind of see what they did. So they have espresso, they have sage, they have mist, and so I am thinking I might do mist. I don't really want black, even though they've got a lot of dark colors in here. I really am not feeling the black, but I think I might do mist. I've already used sage, so I really don't have anything other than the ink pad. I know that I've got some florals that are going to be sage, and I want to use the stamp set from Dream Maker. So it's got, I know you guys have probably seen this, but it's got that bold one that says always. And then of course I'm going to go ahead and stamp up some of these floral pieces. So he proposed when the cherry blossoms were very prominent in the DC area. And so these kind of remind me of cherry blossoms. I know they're not, but they kind of remind me of cherry blossoms in that they're pretty delicate. So I am going to just ink these up and then fussy cut them out. And they're really easy to fussy cut. I usually don't like to fussy cut a lot, but these are really easy. So while I decide on my title, I am going to go ahead and get those stamped up. So I am just using intense black ink for these floral pieces. Again, the large and the small flower. Then I am going to pull out my mist ink. That's that kind of bluish gray color that I pulled out with that scrapbooking kit. And then I am going to use those words, that word image. You've seen me use this a lot, as well as a whole lot of other Close to My Heart makers, because when stamped with these floral pieces, as well as the other images from the stamp set, it just makes it just look so good. And then there is a center to the floral pieces. I am going to pull out Sundance. Sundance was one of those colors that was in that starter workshop kit that I pulled out to kind of see what colors complemented melon. It's just going to be a bright pop. This is the only place you will see Sundance, but I really liked that little addition. And then I am going to start fussy cutting these out. I'm not going to do much on camera, but I did want to show you guys who are new here how I fussy cut. Now I am keeping my scissors straight and basically moving the floral piece. And then I also like to leave a little tiny edge. It mimics a sticker, and then it's a little more forgiving on those rounded edges, if you will. All my flowers fussy cut, and then I have die cut some stems in Seabrook. So I'm going to use Seabrook instead of sage. That might be what was actually used in that kit that I showed you. But I wanted to really show you this we got from the album retreat. It will be brand new in the catalog in July. VIPs are almost able to get that free catalog with a order, but I wanted to show you, it's just such a fun combo. So you get a thin cut. There is also a stencil, and those stencils line up perfectly with that. And there is an embossing folder, and then there's also a stamp set. Wanted to show you how that worked. Now this is one of the layouts that I did for the album retreat. So here is all three of those layered up. So I'm not sure if you can tell, but you've got the embossed and then the stencil, and it's a two-part stencil. And then you've got the thin cut over here, and then I also used the thin cuts to come out here. Again, you can't order it right now, but mark your calendars. Unless you want to be a Close to My Heart maker, then definitely message me, and you could add that to your order as soon as Monday or Tuesday when you are approved. I am going to just start playing around with those die cuts as well as these floral pieces. Again, keeping in mind the sketch kind of had those groupings up at the bottom right, or up at the top right, down at the bottom left. And then I'm also going to be using some 3D foam tape as well. I'm loving the floral pieces that I stamped. I'm loving the coral liquid pearls, how they're just kind of peeking out from behind those sprigs and leaves. You can see here that is the 3D foam tape. And then I'll also add some 3D foam tape to those sprigs. So the stems actually get adhered down to my project, and then the little leaves are going to have just little bitty tiny pieces of 3D foam tape. It adds so much dimension. If you follow me, you know that I do that a lot. Now these little pieces are some of the little bitty things that are left over from that thin cut. So I've just applied liquid adhesive to my project base and using my pickup tool just to pick up those little pieces and adding them to the liquid adhesive, pressing down just a little bit because that liquid adhesive dries so fast. So the next thing I am going to do is pull out my title. Now I originally thought that I would die cut or use my Cricut for the title, but then I found these wood pieces and I'm loving this title. It says everything. And then I'm going to couple that with one of the sentiment stickers from the Dream Maker sticker sheet. Or no, actually I'm going to be using the Melon sticker sheet. So I'm going to work on this everything. Now the centers to the Y and the G and the T and the H or whatever they are, I did use those for leaves. Here is a sticker I'm going to apply directly to the photo, and then this is the sticker that's going to work with the everything. I am going to add that to my anti-static pouch so I can add 3D foam tape to that and pop it up. As part of the Melon Mania, we also have our melon sequins. So I thought it would be fun to apply some micro glue dots to the back of those and just kind of sprinkle those in and around those floral groupings, as well as on some of those centers of that title that I'm using for some wooden leaves. Those kind of bring down that wooden aspect to those groupings, as well as those little arrows at the bottom right of the photo. So this says my happy, and then of course everything. And then I am going to stamp the date on a third little sticker. And you'll see here in just a second why I wanted to do this. It's kind of like the law of threes or a triangle. You want to have that visual triangle. So I'm just going to kind of play around with where I want this. I thought about down at the bottom, but I really don't want it like that. I want it pretty tight to that sticker that is on the photo. So I added 3D foam tape to my layout base and then just going to attach that date right there. And then that is pretty much it for the sticker. I am adding clear shimmer brush to those floral pieces, and you can see here just the shine between the glitter paper, the shimmer brush, and that UV coated cardstock. It really shines. I usually like to revisit the sketch at the end of my video just to kind of explain what I kept and why I changed things. So you can see that I kept the torn edges. I pretty much kept the color scheme, even though that really wasn't my initial intention. My initial intention was to just use the Melon Mania. And then I kept the little flower groupings up at the top right and the bottom left. And then the title up at the top. So basically I did everything but just kind of straightened everything up, I think. And yeah, that is pretty much it. I will leave links down below to all the products that I used, as well as Christy's Facebook page, so you can go ahead and check out all of the sketches. And then there is a playlist. Go ahead and click on that playlist so you can watch all of the Series 12 30 Days of Sketches layouts. Thanks and have a wonderful week.